Socks, especially compression stockings, can be very difficult to get on, and reaching down to pull them on is sometimes the hardest part. My name is Kelly. I am a physical therapist that specializes in lymphedema and oncology. And in this video, I'm going to share 3 simple seated exercises to help make it easier to get socks and compression stockings on. If you like these or other handouts, you can find options on my website, which I will link up above as well as down below. These exercises can be done daily or even a couple of times a day, especially after first waking up in the morning or after sitting for a long period of time. But again, these can all be done seated from a chair. It may take some consistency, but they should help with mobility to make it easier to reach your feet. If you're looking for more details on compression stocking tips, I have another video on my channel for that. So for the first exercise, we want to start to work on rotating the hips. When we're trying to get our shoes and socks on, a lot of people will end up doing it where they cross their ankle over their knee, but that causes their knees rotation at the hips to do so. Or someone may have to lean forward. Either way, we need that movement. So we can start by either having our legs nice and wide, sitting up nice and tall, and then leaning forward at the hips until we feel a nice stretch or whatever someone's comfortable doing. You might feel a stretch on the inner thighs, behind the legs, something in that area. Or if someone wants to work on getting the ankle to cross over the knee, then we can keep our legs or our feet closer together, letting the knees fall out to the side. Maybe that's enough of a stretch. Or if someone needs to, then leaning forward in that position to feel more of a stretch on the inner thighs and behind, and working on that hip flexion, which is bending at the hip forward, or rotation, which is that turning. That is a nice, simple way to start. The next exercise, we want to start to work on bending at the hip, but also the knee to be able to get to the feet and have that bending. And so some people will be able to lean forward, some will rotate. We still need that knee bend to get there. So we can start by, if you need support from your back, go ahead and lean against the back of the chair, or you can stay forward. You can take your hands either behind your thigh, close to your knee, or in front of the knee, whatever's more comfortable for someone and they don't have pain with. And then they can bring their knee up towards their chest, feeling a nice stretch in the knee and in the hip area, maybe behind the thigh. You could hold back here if that's bothersome on the knees. Hold for just a couple seconds, and then try just straightening out in front of you, getting a nice stretch behind the knee, behind the thigh, and then coming back in. Holding for just a couple seconds on either end, keeping it nice and gentle, nice and pain-free, going back and forth 8 to 10 times. If it's too hard to hold the foot up, you can put the heel down and lean forward. That's okay too, but knee bending, hip bending, and straightening back and forth. And you can do the same thing on both sides, nice and gentle. And the third way is start to work into the position to be able to get your ankle across your knee. Now, for some people, they're not ready to get there, and that's okay. Just focus on the first 2 exercises and work your way to hopefully be able to get into this position. Now, this is the ideal position. So we want to work on rotating at the hip and also being able to lean forward. And a lot of tightness can sometimes actually come from the glute muscle, the bottom muscle, as well as the hip. And so we can do what we call piriformis stretch, which is a muscle in your glute. But it also works other muscles depending on where someone's tight. So as someone's been able to work up into getting that bending and maybe also getting that rotation, we can try to get that ankle on the knee, even if it's just somewhere to start. And some people might just start with holding this position. Our goal is to sit up nice and tall as much as possible. And if someone is able to, then we can start to let the knee fall open towards the side to feel more of a stretch. That might be enough for some people to start. And when they're ready, when they feel comfortable and they don't have pain with it, they can also start to lean forward at the hip, making sure your chest is nice and tall. You're not slumping into your back, leaning forward until you feel a stretch either in your hip, maybe into the thigh, but it should be nice and comfortable. Because at the end, this is the position that we want to get into to be able to pull on socks easier rather than just bending forward. So that's the third one, is to work on crossing the ankle over the knee, letting the knee fall down. You can even just gently press it down. And then from there, leaning forward at the hips, holding for a few seconds, and then coming out. You can do the same thing on both sides, crossing the ankle over, up nice and tall, and leaning forward. Again, those are different exercises to work towards, trying the first two more consistently, working towards the third, and after the third, doing that consistently, hopefully it's easier to get compression stockings on. The bonus piece would be that if someone can't rotate their hip for any reasons, maybe they had surgery, another issue, you can always get a step stool and get the foot to go up on a step stool. And sometimes it's easier, even if it's wide, to then reach the foot. But if those are all still not working for you, there are, we call donning aids or tools that can make it easier to get compression stockings on and off, or socks on and off, that I have other videos on my channel that you can check that don't involve having to bend over. And again, you can check those videos out to learn more about those. So those are exercises to help make it easier to get socks and stockings on over time. I hope you all found this video helpful, and we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks, everyone.